Text blasting is it's probably not the right way to say it. Text blasting. Text messaging is great. Ringless voicemail is great. Voice broadcasting is aggressive, works good. But primarily right now, guys, in the industry, I can tell you that the highest or the lowest cost per deal is SMS.
That's
a great question.
Thank you, Brad.
Anybody else? Lightning round. Going once.
Hey, Brad, let me ask you about that, about the voice broadcasting, because I haven't really looked at that much myself. You know, obviously, you know, I have my platform. I know you have your platform, REI Market Pro, and, you know, you're doing a lot with that RVM and, you know, the voice broadcast. What kind of, have you had any challenges or have you had any issues with folks, you know, getting in trouble or anything like that with the voice broadcast? Because I know there's some laws and stuff around it. Can you like shed some light on that? What you know about it?
Yeah, absolutely. For voice broadcasting, no, we haven't had anybody that's gotten in any trouble, but I'm sure there are people. For voice broadcasting, you can only voice broadcast to a landline unless you have a lead that is what's the word? An opt-in lead. So opt-in means that you've got some website that's pumping out, you know, phone number. I mean, nobody has opt-in leads in this industry. Well, most people don't. So you can only blast to landlines. Now, when we first learned that, because when we first started using voice broadcasting, we were hitting cell phones with it, which I'm glad we stopped because that's a really quick way to get in trouble. And when we first learned we could only go to landlines, we're like, oh shit, this is going to kill us because the voice broadcasting was working so well. So then we switched to landlines and our numbers were about the same and maybe even went up a little bit. And now you guys are probably thinking, well, hold on, nobody has landlines anymore. But the people that do are generally people that need to sell, that have equity, that want to do it the old-fashioned way. And it works really well. So voice broadcasting, if you guys don't know what it is, it's basically an automatic system that blasts out. It can do, oh man, it does 1,800 calls an hour on the low speed. So it's mega. I mean, it's like a shotgun, and you're going to get, it does a message that says, hey, this is Brad. I'm buying houses in your neighborhood. If you're interested in an offer, press 1. If not, press 2. We'll take you off the list. They press 1 and it transfers right to you live.
That's amazing.
So one of the things that's good about that is if you guys have been in this game for very long, you know, it's hard to get somebody on the phone when they actually want to talk about their house. You can get them on the phone, you know, 2 weeks ago and they were all about it, but now you called them 3 times and they're busy, man. They got their grandkids in town. They're blah, 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 blah. They don't want to talk about it. And so this gets people when they're ready to talk. But it is aggressive and people do get pissed. And when people will transfer through and they'll be like, you already jump off a cliff. I want you dead. What's your company name?
I'm going to fucking kill you.
Yeah. And the way you always handle that is you say, sir, I apologize. I will take you off our list. What's your phone number? And then you just write it down and get off the phone. So it's aggressive. It's not for everybody. I mean, if you're timid of that, then it's not for you. But it like in smaller areas, like, you know, these, I call them
small towns,
like 50,000 or less cities. Dude, it does so really well.
And you're messing around with RVMs and stuff like that too, from what I understand. And I'm assuming that's pretty similar, but it's just not ringing their phone from what I understand. And then
let's go over the differences really fast. So ringless voicemails to cell phone only, because you can't leave a voicemail on a landline unless it's an answering machine, right? So voice broadcasting is landline, ringless voicemail is cell phone. Ringless voicemail is all it does is a technology that hits the phone really fast with a call and then comes right behind it with another call, so it goes to voicemail. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. So people get a voicemail without getting a missed call. Sometimes they'll get a missed call, but it goes right into their voicemail. So the difference with ringless voicemail is it's not live and it's waiting for the people to call back, and then you can call it back whenever you want. So it's a little bit more spread out for, you know, say someone's working a full-time job, they can turn it on. It's almost like setting a gill net out in the ocean, you know, and then you come back, okay, here's what I got. Whereas live transfer is like fishing, man. You got one on.
Mm-hmm. And have you ever done anything with like live answering services or anything like that for
Yeah,
maybe the
sure.
guy
So
that,
Call
you know,
Porter,
guy
Pat
that-
Live, all those things work great. But the first thing I'll tell any new wholesalers is you're not ready to outsource. Hopefully I'm not going against what Justin tells you guys, but you know, every single guy I've ever trained in wholesaling always wants to outsource talking to the customer. Well, you can't do that until you know how to do it yourself. Because how are you going to, you know, and that pisses off, I shouldn't say pisses off, but people that are selling you marketing, when you're not willing to work your own leads, you don't even know if the marketing works.
I agree.
So you're going out and you're spending $2,000 on a marketing system, and then you're complaining it doesn't work, but you've got to go into a call service center. You don't even know what's going on. You guys need to be active in your businesses. You need to be, until you're closing 4 deals plus per month, you should be the only person in your business, unless there's maybe a real estate agent.
I agree with that too.
And
Yeah.
learn that shit and learn it and learn it and learn it and then outsource. And the last thing you ever outsource in a wholesale business is the most important thing, which is talking to sellers. You should never outsource that unless you're, you know, until you get to a certain point in your career. That should be the last thing you outsource. So guys, there's a book called The One Thing by Gary Papasan and Jay Keller, the founders of Keller Williams. And it talks about what is the most important thing that I could do right now that would make everything else either unnecessary or less important, or not or to where you wouldn't even have to do it. And in our business, it's prospecting. So there's nothing more important in our business than prospecting. So you should time block. This is what I have my guys do from 9 to 12 every single day for prospecting.
Yes.
Even if your escrow officer calls and says, "Hey, I need a document," don't even answer that damn call, because she's going to probably find it by the time you get back to her. You need to focus on the one thing, which is the most important thing in your business, which is prospecting.
I love it. I used to call it the 10 by 10. Make 10 calls by 10 a.m. That's the goal.
Yeah, that's good. Yep.
Absolutely. That hits Brad's numbers there too. You know, if you do 10 calls every hour.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Stephen wanted to know what lists you like best.
So guys, it depends on your marketing, and it depends on your, I mean, obviously it depends on a lot of things, but there's really two approaches the way I talk about it. There's a shotgun approach and there's a sniper approach. The shotgun approach is using something like RVM or voice broadcasting. If you're going through 1,800 names in an hour, you need to be hitting a pretty large metro area, or if you're going through a smaller area, you're going to have to turn it on and off, right? Because it's going to go through a lot of names. So you can't upload a list of foreclosures where there's maybe 1,800 foreclosures in your county, because it's going to go through that in the first hour. So that's a shotgun approach, is where you've got a big list. And if you're going to do that, all you want to do is pull phone numbers with either absentee or owner occupied. Let's talk about the difference between absentee and owner occupied. Both are good. Absentee is always good because they don't live there. They're not emotionally attached to the house. I don't have to explain that one very much. But owner occupied is also good because less people hit it. So to me, what I've seen in the stats is they're just about the same, absentee and owner occupied. So that's for your shotgun approach. Now, if you want to go for a sniper approach, you can go to like Rebo Gateway or something and get, you know, tax defaults. You can get probate's probably one of the best of these, are called motivation lists. Probate's probably one of the best. You can get divorce lists. You can get bankruptcy lists. You can get notice of default lists. Notice of default lists are very timely, because if you guys are dealing with foreclosures, make sure that you have at least a month before the sell date, and you still got to know what you're doing. So it depends. Like if you want to go out and get a sniper type of list, like a notice of default list, and hand call it, you can do really well. And then you could also go out and just take your whole county and get, you know, what we do is we'll pull like an entire county, and we'll say with 70% loan to value max, so we know that they have equity, and then we'll just hit them with the shotgun approach. So it depends.
Yeah. Super good advice. Man, he doesn't hold back, does he? He really tells you like it is.
And are you still having any luck with Craigslist, or did you kind of, you know, get away from Craigslist a little bit?
You know, I haven't done Craigslist, but I know it would work.
Mm-hmm. Well, not necessarily on wholesale. Let's say sub twos, or, you know, lease options, kind of back where you started. I had wondered if you were still dabbling with Craigslist at all.
I haven't, but you know, guys, if that's something you could outsource, because you just teach a VA how to send emails. And by the way, if you do that email method, you got to have a few different Gmails, because you'll get flagged.
Yeah.
But just go out and get like 3 Gmails and have your VA send out 50 a day, and you just watch for the people that come back in, and then you talk to them.
Right.
That's another one of those, being resourceful, because that doesn't cost you any money. And that's how I built my portfolio. So you can't tell me it doesn't work. I mean, I'm sure it still would work, especially in the suburbs and outside of major cities.
Nice, man. Nice. And do you have a particular message or particular email that you send out to those folks on Craigslist? Because obviously you can text them or you could email them. Are you only doing emails to those, or are you also texting them?
Well, I think with Crump's Auto Marketer, you could do both. And I never really used that. I mean, I had it for a little while. I think it worked all right. But I just had an email, and it was like a paragraph long, and it just said, hey, if you're interested in selling, I'm the most serious buyer you'll ever talk to. I buy 3 houses per month. I have 2 different types of offers I can make you. I can make you a cash offer at a discount, or I can make you a full offer if you're willing to do terms. Hit me back. That's basically all it is.
Nice. Pretty straightforward. Love it. Yeah, that works great. Emails are great because there's no real limit either, in terms of
it's free. Yeah. It's free. You don't have to go out and, don't have to go out and buy stuff. And I know that budgets are a big deal, man, in the beginning. If you guys, one of the things I see the wholesalers die on the vine is they go out and they save up, $2,000 or $3,000 towards a new business. Can be really hard for people, right? And that's what marketing costs. You go out and put that money in, and then you don't even have the right mindset or the courage to make the calls and the follow-up. And I see so many people fail that way. You've got to really maximize your resources.
Right.
And when you send stuff out, you've got to follow up on every single call. And the people that I got one guy that when people call us and say, fuck off, he calls every one of those people. He turns like 1 in 3 into a deal, or into a conversation, I should say. So
yeah, maybe like 1 in 10 into a deal. That's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean,
you wouldn't have gotten,
Yeah, you just got to follow up. So
that's incredible.
And guys, those could be the best ones too to follow up on or call, because they've already said no. Worst case scenario, they're going to say no again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'd rather you mess up on those than mess up on the on the S's. And it's just an experience call. You're always building experience.
That's a really good point. That's why I call those good conversations, even if they're not a deal, because you might have got that person off the ledge. Oh, you're a stupid real estate investor. Stop calling me. Well, sir, what are your goals? I mean, just tell me about your house. And like, if you can learn how to turn people like that, that gives you confidence. And then when you get the right person on the phone, you'll be able to close them.
Eventually you have enough success, it becomes fun. It might be scary at first, right? But you go down that slide and you're like, wow, it was scary when I was at the top. It was scary while I was climbing. Then I was up at the top and I was looking down. I was like, holy shit, what am I going to do? And then you go down that slide and you find out, wow, that was actually fun. Let me go back and do it again.
Cycle of life. So Stephen wants to know how to keep track of everything, CRM. So super great question. Guys, this is a big deal, man. Like we use Podio and we used InvestorFuse for a long time. Then we just built out our own and we just use Podio. But one of the things I tell my reps is if it isn't in Podio, it didn't happen. Did you call that guy back? Yeah, I called him. Well, it's not in Podio. So, and the reason we do that is because follow-up truly is 80% of your business. So if you're going to do $100,000 in a year and you're not good at follow-up, you're losing 80 grand. So you have to have a system. If you guys are still using Yellow Pad or writing notes on a piece of paper, that's fine. It needs to be transferred into a system. There's no excuses for that. Yeah. There's so many free CRMs out there, and Podio is one of them. It's one of the best ones. And you can build out Podio if you're good, it takes about 6 or 7 minutes. If you don't know how to do it, it might take you 2 hours. But learn that stuff. This is what I'm talking about, becoming a better version of yourself.
Yes.
Go out and learn that shit. You have to have a follow-up system. You have to have something that tells you it's time to call Mr. Smith back, because that's when, guess what? If
You're not going to remember all this stuff. It just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If you don't call him back, I'm going to call him back, and I'm going to get the deal.
Yeah.
And it's not even, it doesn't even necessarily have to automatically drop them a text or automatically drop them an email. Just purely the reminder. So, okay, now I can go do it. Or now
we don't even use we don't even use follow-up sequences anymore. We used, I think what Michael's talking about, there's some systems out there that'll, send an email on week 2, send us SMS on week 3, whatever. That stuff's great and it does work, but it can be expensive. But all we do is you just have to have a task system, and every single lead has to have a follow-up task, no matter what. The only reason they wouldn't have a follow-up task is if the property sold or the person died. So that's one of the biggest mistakes I see in this business as well, is every single lead, there should be a future task telling you to come back and call that person again. And if the person says, hey, I'm not selling until the kids are out of school, so that's in May, right? Well, then don't put May as the callback date. Call them back at the end of February so you can start working that deal. So anytime they tell you 3 months, that's a month. They tell you a month, that's a week.
Right.
Cut the callback time in half every time.
Right.
Yeah. Just keep keep your stuff at the forefront of their mind.
Excellent.
You might have called them 5-6 times by the time no one else is doing that.
Yeah, well,
Right.
or you don't call them and you call them back in May and they're like, I sold to Brad.
Right. No, I sold them.
Whoever called, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yep.
It's happened to me.
Yeah. But that's how you learn it, man.
Yeah,
You
that's
drop
how
the deal, but now that's not going to be a problem again.
that's how I learned how important it is. I mean, you lose $20,000-$30,000 doing that a couple times, and you're gonna realize the value of a CRM.
Right. I totally agree with you. I call it working for the list. I quit working for the boss. Now I work for my list.
Well, if you think about it, that's your asset in this company.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got intellectual property, but your leads are your assets. And if you have, in a database, maybe you've only got 400 or 500 people in there. Let's say that you're making $100,000 a year. If you have 500 people in there, what's that? Each one of those leads are worth what? I don't even know the math, like $200 each. So you need to you need to start to see that as an asset, and you never know, man, which ones are going to be the deals. Like the ones you think are going to be the deals usually aren't. And the ones that you thought I shouldn't even call this person, but you called them just because you were supposed to, because you had a follow-up, that's your deal. You can.